Hello and welcome to Frames Per Second. I'm your host, Vicki Richards, and today I'm joined by movie maker Mike Messier. Welcome to the show, Mike.
Hi, Vicki. Great to be here. Thanks for having me at the school, and thanks for having me on your show. I'm very excited.
Certainly, certainly. So I like to start these shows off with generally, how did you know that this is what you wanted to do? And I know you're kind of a jack of all trades. So talk a little bit about the things that you do and why you decided to pursue them.
I was hit with the film bug, seeing the movie Goodfellas quite some time ago. It was just, it's a classic movie from the early 90s, I think. And the use of the song Layla by Eric Clapton, there's a piano solo.
Now, do you like the fast version or the slow version of that song better?
Wow, you got me stumped already, Vicki. This is going to be a long interview. I don't know, the one that's in the movie, dun, 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 you know, it's really good. It's haunting, but I don't know about the two versions of it.
Oh, Eric Clapton's very close to my heart, so
Okay.
I understand if you don't know.
Yeah, but that movie, you know, Ray Liotta and De Niro, Harvey Keitel, I think it's a Martin Scorsese film. It kind of hooked me in, not just to gangster movies, but to film in general. You know what I mean? And I was a film kid. I mean, my parents took me to a lot of films when I was younger, and just kind of got hooked into it. So yeah, I mean, but what am I doing now? I'm a screenwriter. I've had some success with a screenplay called Fight or Play Basketball. It won first prize in it's called, the subcategory is Spotlight on New England, and the festival is Rhode Island International Film Festival Screenplay Award. You know, there's a lot of stuff. But yeah, it won first prize. There was 10 awards given, and my screenplay won one of the 10 awards. And there was 433 something entries.
Oh, wow.
So it was pretty good. You know, the numbers were against everybody, and happy to be part of those 10 that won something. And one little prize pack and stuff like that.
Very cool. So what are some of the things that you do other than writing?
Well, I like to produce my own films, and as you and I were talking before we got on the air, for screenwriters, I think it's important that you do more than just write a script, because you know there can be some great scripts sitting in your attic or on your desk.
Right.
But unless you're promoting those scripts, whether it's through entering festivals or through finding people to help make your scripts come to life with local directors in your area, you know, if you don't do that, your script is just, you know,
a script.
Yeah, a script. There's nothing wrong with a script, but it's going to be a glorified stack of papers with black writing on them, unless you promote the script. And it's unfortunate, because I'm sure there's many thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, millions of stories that could have been and should have been told, but the screenwriter is content just to write it and place it on the desk. And you know, think about how many Shakespeare's or, you know, Stephen King's are out there who just haven't promoted their work properly. So that being said, as a screenwriter, I like to write, but then as a film producer, I kind of do that myself, independent film, scraping together whatever funds or resources I can get. I direct a lot of these films, most of them. I'm an actor. You know, I was telling you off camera that I did some acting with Meryl Streep and Elizabeth Shue in the film, filmed in North Stonington, Connecticut. It was called Hope Springs. And I went to do extra work, and through a turn of events, I ended up in a scene with Elizabeth Shue and Meryl Streep, so that was fun. I was in a movie called Hard Luck when I played Sybil Shepherd's son, and I had a fight scene with Wesley Snipes and Mario Van Peebles. You might have heard of him. He directed New Jack City. So Mario directed this film called Hard Luck, and that was really awesome because I auditioned for this role like 4 times. I got the role, and next thing you know, I'm in this fight scene with Wesley Snipes, and I'm actually in a bedroom scene with Sybil Shepherd, except, you know, it's not that kinky because she's tucking me into bed as her son. So here's to it.
Different kind of bedroom scene.
Yeah, but it was still good. It was nostalgic or historic.
So talk a little bit about your schooling and, you know, what you did, what you studied, and how that's helped you in your career.
I started off in college at a place called University of North Carolina, Greensboro. It was a beautiful campus, much like Central Connecticut State University, I believe we're on. A lot of bricks, a lot of grass, nice people, and I studied poetry, you know, so I kind of got the love of the spoken word and the written word more so. You know, studied all those famous poets, Theodore Roethke, Emily Dickinson. You know, my life has stood a loaded gun. You know, fun stuff like that. Next thing you know, I was in Rhode Island College. You know, finishing my education there. Took some film classes, but continued with the creative writing of fiction, nonfiction. After graduate, well, during that time, I went to URI, University of Rhode Island, for a screenwriting class, which was awesome. Like, you know, a lot of places don't offer screenwriting as an elective.
Yeah, we had it last semester, and it was just, I think, a guest professor coming in. But yeah, we really don't usually have it.
Well, I'll do it here if you guys want to pay me, But yeah, the screenwriting class was really good. The teacher, I'll just mention him for no reason, Christopher Menzel. He used the book "Save the Cat" by Blake Snyder for all the screenwriting geeks out there. But screenwriting, I'm trying to tilt my head because I keep looking at you. I'm seeing myself on the monitor. I'm very awkward with my neck today. But screenwriting was a lot of fun. The class, and I took a lot of actor-in-residence work at Maine Media Workshops in Rockport, Maine. I was an actor-in-residence for several seasons.
Oh, wow.
And I learned a lot from guys like Barry Primus, who was on the show Cagney and Lacey in the 80s. Barry Primus was the first guy to direct a Robert De Niro Tribeca film. So I had some good breeding. A guy named Steve Fierberg was up there. He directed, or he was a director of photography for the movie Secretary, Love and Other Drugs, and half of the first season of Entourage, the TV show. So these were some top people in the business who I got to kind of sit in on their classes and actually be used as an actor, for workshop classes and their students and all this good stuff. And
yeah, and so do you still draw from those things that you learned, in your everyday work?
I think it all gets put in the noggin and the whole deal, the spirit, the system, the mind, and it just stays with you. Like, I was thinking about that the other day, the process of learning. Like, so many books I have on film or writing that I highlighted and I wrote in the margins, and then, like, they'll just sit there for years and I don't even think about what I learned. But then, like, if I pick up that book, I'm like, oh, man, like, I did learn that, and I have been applying that. So I think learning is interesting for all the university students out there. Like, you don't always think about what you learned, but it's in your system somehow or another. So
right, yeah, it's almost, because I know in this field you do have to do a lot by experience, and I think sometimes we forget that knowing the theory behind it and knowing the academic side and learning from someone else in a classroom setting is actually really important. It's those things that kind of form the bedrock almost.
Yeah, a lot of people have the do-it-yourself attitude, which is fine, but sometimes do-it-yourself, which I'm a big proponent of do-it-yourself DIY mindset, is also the blind leading the blind. Because you can pick up a camera and have 5 friends say we're going to be actors or we're going to be filmmakers, but if none of those 5 friends really know what the heck's going on, you're going to have a backyard bloodbath of Karo syrup and bad movie making. So I try to avoid that. But I've been guilty of it too. So.
Well, we have a trailer for one that you wrote. It's called The Nature of the Flame. So let's take a quick look at that, and we will hear more about it in the next segment.
So good to see you guys. So, what's up?
Oh, we finally bought a place.
Holy cow.
You seriously have enough saved to do that?
We've been putting a little aside each month.
Jeez, at the end of the month, we have nothing left to save.
Yeah, I have no idea where it goes.
Well, you're spending a lot on...
Was it good?
Oh, God.
Oh, how is my account overdrawn?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Welcome back to Frames Per Second. We just saw a trailer for The Nature of the Flame, written, directed, produced, everything by our guest, Mike Messier. So let's talk a little bit about the background. So what was your inspiration? What was your process? A little bit like that.
For The Nature of the Flame in particular, Vicki, there was a book I was reading for a couple of years, and the book is titled Zen and the Art of Making a Living by Lawrence G. Bolt.
Okay.
And Lawrence's book is just awesome. It's like this really thick manual, and it's got like some interactive, workbook type stuff. You know, what do you think about your life? You know, and stuff like that. And I would actually recommend it, especially for college students who are like yourself. You know, who are kind of exiting college or even in the middle of it.
A little bit terrified.
Yeah, well, this book is just killer because, like, it kind of, the nature of the book is do what makes you happy, but like a lot of people don't even know, like, you know, like what does make me happy, you know? And this book has a lot of stuff that kind of like says, well, if you have this type of personality, or if your creative influences go this way, or if you're more mathematical, you might go this way. So anyway, I was reading this book. It's full of quotes and little cartoons, Zen stuff, and it kind of inspired me to write a feature script called The Search for the Muse. And it was like about this teacher and student, and they're looking for the muse, you know, like a female vision. Then the muse comes, and she's like really a villain and all this weird stuff. And then I said, you know, I'd like to make this movie based on this guy's book, but I don't know if I can get the rights. So then I started to rewrite it myself in my own vision, and I was going to write a feature film. Then I got to the 7th page, and not to give away the movie too much, but a girl awakes from a dream. And I said, wow, that's really the end of the story. Like, this story does not want to be a feature. This story wants to be a short, and that's it. So that's kind of like really what happened there, you know. So the nature of the flame.
So has that happened in other times where you had an original idea that, oh, I want it to be like this, and as you got there, you're like, oh no, this isn't what this story wants to be?
Yes.
Yeah, and I think that's interesting to be able to kind of switch off at that point, because I know a lot of artists say the difference between a masterpiece and just another piece of art is like knowing when to stop.
Yeah.
Which I think is very, very important.
Well, I don't know if you ever sketch or draw or paint yourself, Vicky, but I mean, sometimes you can have this awesome thing going, and then you just like one too many strokes, like, I'll put a mustache on this girl's face, and then, whoa, what did I do? You know, you don't need a mustache on the girl's face, you know what I mean? So, you know, I try not to put mustache on girls' faces, you know, except in my private life. So, you know, I like to have fun with my art.
So what were some of the themes that you were trying to convey in this piece?
The real theme is beauty, the nature of existence, and also there's a quote at the end of the film, something to the effect, it's about dreaming, like the state of dreaming. So there's a quote at the end of the film that kind of sums it up, which is something to the effect of, Zheng Hai had a beautiful dream that he was a butterfly, flitting and fluttering around, doing as he pleased. And when Zheng Hai awoke from the dream, he didn't realize if he was actually Zheng Hai or the butterfly, dreaming he was Zheng Hai. Something to that effect. So basically it's like, are you the butterfly or are you Zheng Hai? You know what I mean?
Yeah, are you your dreams or are you your reality almost?
Right, and in this particular piece there's two young ladies, you know, Lindsay Elizabeth Cork and Jocelyn Padilla. And the real question for these two characters, you know, as the actresses play them very well, I think, is who's dreaming and who's not? And are they lovers? Are they friends? Are they sisters? Are they the same girl? You know, is one existential and one reality?
Yeah.
You know, it's really ambiguous. And, you know, even for me, I mean, every time I watch the movie, I'm like, just let it roll, you know, let people think what they want. You know what I mean?
Yeah, well, we have a clip to watch right now that's a little bit more in-depth than the trailer, so let's take a look at that.
Hey, you there. Yes, you. Has a girl got you down? Down to here? Down to here?
I'm not quite sure why I'm here.
I don't know either. You don't seem quite ready.
Ready for what?
Enlightenment.
You started putting this into reality. What was the production process like? Finding the actresses, the locations, you know, what shape did it take on once you really started doing it?
It came together interestingly enough, by networking. You know, like this guy named Chris Hunter put a call out for Rhode Island South Filmmakers Group for a meeting of people, you know, south of the tower, which is a Rhode Island thing. Like there's this tower in South County, Rhode Island, and if you're south of that, you're kind of like in your own little world of Rhode Island. So in Newport, at a place called Jimmy's Saloon, you know, just like a honky-tonk type of deal, like we got together with like random people who were just interested in film, and Chris himself and I were talking afterwards, and Chris Hunter was like, man, you know, like, he's got an interesting voice. Like, man, you know, I go to my apartment and I have all these like toys, and I'm just filming toys, but I don't have any scripts. And I was like, man, I got scripts and nobody's filming them. So like, I just literally went to my car and like opened up my, you know, Corolla trunk and I dug up this crazy script I had written, this Nature of the Flame, and it was all dog-tiered and crumpled, but I gave it to Chris, and you know, eventually he read it like within a couple of days, and. And I just said, like, man, are we going to do this? You know, are we serious? Like, are we not just saying we're going to do something? Because that happens a lot. Like, people say they're going to do something. But I said, Chris, are we going to do this, man? Because I had never worked with him before, you know. And he said, yeah, let's do it. So then my next call was actually good old friendly Facebook. You know, like Facebook giveth and Facebook taketh away. You know, but I got on Facebook and I put a post out like, anyone know of a Zen Center? You know, because that's in the script. And like people, I think it might have been my friend Lily Spencer, who's actually a real proponent of my work, so I like to mention her. But I think she said Providence Zen Center, and I was like, oh, I didn't know I was there, you know, in Rhode Island. So I called them. I went up and secured the location. You know, some of these things I'm not sure the order, but I secured the location first, probably, and that was pretty easy. Yeah. You know, and then the next thing I needed some actors. You know, and I really decided like. There's so many male student-teacher relationship movies, you know, Rocky with Burgess Meredith, you know, and stuff like Ralph Macchio and Karate Kid. Like, I really want to do something with a women's perspective, you know, just to change it up. Yeah, I'm a feminist. Don't I look like it? So I'm like, hey, let's do something from the ladies' point of view with this movie, and let's put a call out. And I was kind of like, I don't want to just do, you know, two white girls again. Like, let's have like one of them be like Asian or, you know, multicultural, and maybe both, but you know, like definitely at least one. So then I put the post out for just a couple of days for that casting call. But then I said, you know, I know these two girls, Jocelyn and Lindsay, and they're really interesting and they have nice faces and they're really hard workers. And I said, well, I'll just see if they want to do it and audition for it. I wasn't going to just give them the role, you know, because I didn't just want to have any freebies. But like, they had the right look anyway. And then they said, yeah, you know, and they memorized all these lines of dialogue. And basically I went over to their place in Newport and they did like a kind of their own little audition, and they basically had it down. They memorized all the lines. And I tell that story because these two actors, Lindsay and Jocelyn, really owned the piece. Like they said, we're doing this and we'll memorize these lines and we'll have some good acting for you. But you know, they really relished that opportunity, and I think for actors it's a lesson too, because a lot of actors will get the script and they won't get off book for the audition, or they'll just kind of mimble it or just half butt it. You know, we're on TV in college here, like I don't want to swear or anything, but so point is, like, these actors really got it. You know, they wanted to do it, and so once they did their audition, I kind of closed shop on the auditions. I'm like, you know, normally I'd have a big audition process. I've done that, but for these particular Nature of the Flame movie, I didn't want to do that. The next step, Vicky, was really like Chris Hunter did a lot of work, the DP, director of photography. He went ahead and he did a shot list. And once he did the shot list, he did a very good job. Like, he scouted out locations. Like, he came to the Zen Center and he went to the beaches in Portsmouth and he went to the Cliff Walk in Newport. He had a really tight shot list, which is how he likes to do things. So we had the actors ready, and we had me, you know, buying food and having like some food and you know, crafty as you would for people. Had a guy named Roland Corcianzada as our assistant, like just helping out. And we just did it. There was like a 5-person casting crew, and the actors, to give them credit, like they carried some of the crew stuff around because they were into it.
So everyone was kind of just working together.
Yeah.
Well, all right, we have to take a quick break, but we can talk a little bit more about it in the next segment and some more future projects, so stay tuned.
We finally bought a place.
You seriously have enough saved to do that?
We've been putting a little aside each month.
So at the end of the month, we have nothing left to save. How is my account overdrawn?
When it comes to financial stability, don't get left behind. Get tools and tips for saving at feedthepig.org.
Yeah, my man. It's just a matter of time. So you're the man of the house. Did I ever tell you about the man lost in the prison? He was a troubled man. Is that me? Am I that man in the prison? No, sir, you are not. Is that to disregard me? Do you mean to disregard me, sir?
No! No! No!
Prisoners of pain. And no one here gets out alive.
God, have you forsaken me?
Time before the dying and the dead reunite.
From The Distance from Avalon. So tell us a little bit about this film.
This film is in development, and we have to raise finances.
Okay.
And I have to work on the script, which is really on me to do some research into more horror films. And it's an exciting project. It has a very long history, and if people want to do a search for me online, they can find Mike Messier and Distance from Avalon to find more details. And basically, it started as a different project called Disregard the Vampire, which is now, this is a long story, but Disregard the Vampire kind of became a documentary about a project that had a lot of suffering because one of our lead actors dropped out due to death. Not he didn't die, but someone close to him died. So we got Scorpio, the guy that you just saw with the black hair. Scorpio, I'd never met the guy before. He was a friend of a friend named Jojo Gator, was this music producer. He had Scorpio as a musician, and he had these like vampire-ass songs, like Into the Twilight and stuff. And I basically put a call in like, hey, is this Scorpio guy available to be in a movie like this week? And like he was, so next thing you know, we're making a movie with Scorpio instead of, the former actor. Yeah. And we got like the cast, like the other members of the cast, 3 persons in this cast, like, whoa, we got a new dude to work with. And the whole crew just kind of ran with it. Like they maybe didn't even know what happened. Oh, he looks different, but next thing you know, we're making this movie. Well, there was some, there was people who were confused and concerned, like, Mike, what are you doing here? And I said, look, the actor we had cannot make it because, X, Y, and Z died, someone died, and we can't, we got to do, we can't just take the money that people invest in this movie and not make a movie. We had to do something. Right. We had the location booked, et cetera, et cetera. Long story, but that movie is going to be called Disregard the Vampire, a Mike Messier documentary. Okay. In the meantime, I've rewritten the script, Distance from Avalon. I've taken repossession of the story. I've basically added a lot of stuff, taken some stuff out. But Distance from Avalon is not just a vampire movie. I'm looking at something epic, like Lord of the Rings type of deal, or something big, and I want it to be a trilogy. And I have the first script written, but even that I want to make better, So it's like, this is going to take a lot of time. I'm studying vampire books. I'm studying, films like the Amityville Horror, which is hard to pronounce. But
so a lot goes into this.
Yeah, I mean, like the research, people say, oh, it's just you wrote it off the top of your head in the bathroom. It's like, no, I really put some work into this script. I'm really trying to make this happen.
You're doing a lot looking into this genre. What, I guess, would you say is the genre you're most comfortable with, or the one that you would usually describe your work as?
I like dialogue-based, character-based, drama / uncomfortable comedy. Like.
What do you mean by uncomfortable comedy?
Well, I have a piece coming out called Thanksgiving, and it's something that's a short film. We don't have clips from it today, but Thanksgiving is about a white guy, Italian guy, who brings home his African-American girlfriend to meet dad. He's all tweaked out that his father's going to I don't like African-American girlfriend or whatever. But it turns out that dad actually slept with her, in a previous situation, and like, whoa, zoinks, all of a sudden you have like father and son sharing a lady, so to speak, and like she's all tweaked out because she didn't think she'd see this guy ever again.
Yeah, it's uncomfortable.
Right, it's uncomfortable, and he's old and stuff. No offense to the actor because he's young at heart, and he's a good guy. So anyway, that movie will be coming out, as a short film soon enough.
But you like to stay in kind of the heavier, or at least kind of things, or more dramatic, not necessarily like lighthearted humor and things like that.
Yeah, no slapstick, no bananas on appeal for me, But you know what? I can act in those type of movies. So don't get me wrong. Like if someone has a script, as an actor, I'll do any type of thing. Like any type of fun, Jim Belushi-esque character I can do. So I have no arguments with anybody who's writing or production. I just
Right.
know what I like as a writer-director may be different than what I'm good at as an actor. You see what I'm saying?
Okay, yeah, very true.
Yeah.
Yeah, so now, before we were talking a little bit about how you're an acting coach.
Right.
So, how'd you get into that?
Well, Barry Primus was my acting coach himself in Maine Media Workshops. Barry Primus was on a show called Cagney and Lacey that older folks might remember from the 80s. And he was in Tribeca Films, Robert De Niro's company. He directed the first movie for them called Mistress. Barry Primus directed it. So basically, Barry taught me in a week a lifetime's worth of information about how to be like an acting coach.
Yeah.
Because his class is called Acting Techniques for Directors, which is so specific, but it's like, how do directors work with actors? And nobody teaches that stuff anymore. Like everybody, it's great, how to use a camera and, gels on the lights and all that good stuff. It's great, but how do you work with actors, And that's what I learned from this guy, and now that's what I teach in my classes. I've had 2, core acting and now Tao Zen acting. I try to work with actors to be better actors, not just, manipulations for the camera.
Yeah, yeah.
So
now, what kind of advice do you give to your actors?
Well, do some research, study your character and don't just say, I'm going to wing it. I'm just going to show up and rattle off some lines and I'll look pretty or I'll look scary. You really have to do some research. And I'm really into intense writing exercises. Like for me, as a writer, I think a lot of people can learn by putting their hand on a piece of paper and just writing about their character. What's my motivations? Always memorize your lines. That's hard for a lot of people. Even for me, it's hard to memorize lines. But get your lines off book. Rehearse with somebody. And the directors really need to take the ball into their own hands. A lot of these independent film directors do not rehearse with their actors. They just say, oh yeah, show up on Thursday and we'll shoot something.
Okay.
It's not good. You really have to put some time in, have a strategy. Even if it's not perfect, just trying.
Yeah, something I've realized is that, my style is more documentary, but the planning that goes into these things, I don't think linearly, so when I try to put down okay, you need to do this, you need to do that, it is very difficult. And I think especially in an artistic mindset that a lot of these people do have, it's kind of hard to put that sort of traditional work in.
You're right.
Yeah.
It's
so
hard.
What's some advice that you could give to students here who want to get into writing or directing or some of the things that you do?
I think the biggest advice for me is just to, two things that's contrarian to each other, but dive in, do whatever you can, and the flip side of that is pick your spots. And it sounds like, wait a minute, what are you trying to say here? But it's like, you really have to do a lot of work, get involved with a lot of people, network, all that good stuff, glad handing and kissing babies.
Network.
Yeah, I know, it's bad. But you also have to pick your spots. So you don't want to do every crazy movie that comes around. You want to do things that are quality work that you jive with.
Right, and then once you find those, really get involved.
Yeah, and get online and find some people and just do stuff. Don't sit on your couch, pestering your neighbors about how you want to do something. Actually do something with your life.
Well, on that note, that is unfortunately all the time that we have left today. But thank you so much, Mike Messier, and good luck on all your future projects. And join us next time on Frames Per Second.